You see, we've been taught to invest in everything outside ourselves: stocks, real estate, degrees, networking. But rarely are we told with conviction that the greatest investment is not in the market, nor in the mirror, but in the mystery that is you. Now, you might ask, but what does it mean to invest in myself? It's not about becoming a project or a product. It's about recognizing that you are not some cog in a machine that must be fixed or optimized. No, you are far more like a field of consciousness, wild, rich, and alive with untapped possibility. To invest in yourself is to water the roots of your own being, to slow down, to listen, to explore who you really are beyond roles and routines. Because when you start operating from that place, from presence, from wholeness, the world starts responding not to your effort, but to your essence. So I ask you to come with me, step out of the rush, the race, the routine, and step into the awareness that the more deeply you tend to your own soul, the more effortlessly life begins to multiply. Your results not by force, but by flow. You are not a machine, though many of us have been conditioned to live as though we are. We wake up with alarms, run through schedules, check boxes, optimize tasks, and try to extract performance from ourselves as if we were some kind of productivity robot. But the human being is not an engine to be tweaked. You are a garden. And like any garden, the results you yield, whether it's peace, creativity, love, or clarity, depend entirely on how you are cultivated. A machine responds to programming, a garden responds to care, and herein lies the subtle but profound difference. You cannot force a flower to bloom faster by shouting at it. You cannot push a tree to grow by pulling on its limbs. It unfolds naturally, according to rhythm, according to season, provided it is given what it needs: sunlight, water, nourishment, and patience. So too with you. When we invest in ourselves, we are not fixing a broken device. We are tending to the soil of our own consciousness. We are pulling the weeds of toxic thinking, loosening the hardened dirt of past wounds, allowing the rain of new insights to soak through, and giving ourselves permission to rest in the warmth of stillness. Most people never do this because it seems too slow, too soft, too impractical. But have you noticed that the most fruitful lives often come from those who are deeply in tune with themselves, rather than just efficient? You must stop thinking of growth as an industrial process. It is biological, spiritual, mysterious. Just as a seed contains the full blueprint of a towering tree, so too do you carry within yourself an invisible design, a potential, that requires tending, not tampering. To invest in yourself is to trust that this design knows what it's doing, and your job is simply to make the space for it to emerge. That means listening when your body asks for rest. That means being honest with yourself when your inner voice says, "This isn't who I am anymore." That means feeding your curiosity instead of feeding your fears. And above all, it means resisting the cultural addiction to constant output, and recognizing that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is be. When you treat yourself like a garden, everything changes. You stop rushing and you start listening. You stop judging your pace and you begin honoring your process. Results stop feeling like struggles and start appearing like natural byproducts of inner alignment. And just like the earth doesn't need to be told how to grow an oak tree, your soul doesn't need to be micromanaged. It needs to be remembered, so let yourself be wild. Let yourself be tender. Give yourself the care you'd give to something precious, because you are. And watch, just watch, how the results begin to multiply, not from pressure but from presence. The greatest wealth is not in your bank account, not in your credentials, not in the titles you hold or the opinions others have of you. The greatest wealth is self-understanding, the rare and powerful ability to see yourself clearly, not as you've been told to be, but as you are. Most people spend their lives chasing results, chasing success, chasing validation. But few stop long enough to ask a far more important question: who is doing the chasing? Until you know the answer, all your striving is like running on a treadmill, fast, exhausting, but going nowhere. Self-understanding is not something you acquire like a tool. It is something you uncover like a truth. And that uncovering begins with a kind of gentle rebellion, a refusal to be hypnotized by the noise of expectation, by the endless chatter of the mind, by the stories you've inherited from a culture that profits from your confusion. You are not your job. You are not your anxiety. You are not even your thoughts. You are the awareness behind it all, the still, silent witness watching the movie unfold. When you begin to understand yourself, not your persona, but your presence, you awaken a kind of inner clarity that no external achievement can ever provide. Suddenly you see that your worth was never up for debate. It was never something to earn, it simply is. And from that place of knowing, your actions shift, not because you've learned better techniques, but because you've touched a deeper truth. You no longer need to prove your value, so you begin to create, serve, love, and act from a place of wholeness rather than desperation. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Your energy is no longer scattered trying to hold up a fragile identity. It becomes focused, clean, powerful. Your results begin to multiply not through effort alone, but through alignment. People often think clarity comes after they succeed, but in truth success follows clarity, and clarity begins with knowing who you are. To invest in this self-understanding is to embark on a journey inward, not outward. It may look like silence. It may feel like stillness. It may involve letting go of things you thought were essential to your identity. But what you gain is something far more valuable, a direct line to the essence of your being. And from that essence flows a wisdom that cannot be taught, only discovered. The world doesn't need more people who have mastered productivity. It needs more people who have mastered presence, who have remembered what it means to be fully alive, fully awake, fully themselves. That is the real treasure. That is the source of lasting peace, enduring purpose, and results that no longer drain you, but reflect you. So sit with yourself, listen, look, not with judgment, but with curiosity, because the more deeply you understand yourself, the less you chase, and the more life begins to meet you where you are, not because you forced it, but because you finally showed up. Time spent on stillness multiplies clarity. In a world obsessed with movement, noise, and constant forward momentum, stillness is often misunderstood. We think of it as laziness, as unproductive, as empty. But stillness is not the absence of progress. It is the ground from which true direction emerges. It is the silent soil in which insight takes root. Without it, we don't move forward, we just spin in circles. You see, the mind left unchecked becomes like a radio stuck between stations, constant static, fragmented signals, endless noise. We react to life rather than respond. We rush into decisions. We chase outcomes without understanding why. We confuse motion with meaning. But stillness, real, intentional stillness, allows us to tune in, to drop beneath the chatter, to hear the subtle voice that only speaks when the world goes quiet. This is why the most transformative insights, the most profound breakthroughs, often arrive not during effort, but in the quiet moments, in the shower, on a walk, in meditation, or in a long, deep breath. These moments don't produce clarity. They reveal it. Because clarity is not something we construct. It's something we remember, and to remember we must stop long enough to listen. People often think they need to do more to solve their problems, to get ahead, to make sense of life. But sometimes the wisest move is to do nothing, not out of avoidance, but out of reverence. Because it is in the pause between thoughts, between actions, between breaths, that the truth begins to rise. Like silt settling in a glass of muddy water, stillness allows the chaos to fall away, until only the clear water of awareness remains. Investing in stillness means giving yourself permission to retreat, not to escape life, but to meet it fully. When you stop running, you start seeing. You see where your energy leaks. You see what you've been avoiding. You see the difference between what you want and what you need. And most importantly, you see yourself, not as an image but as a presence. From that presence, life becomes simpler, choices become cleaner, and action becomes powerful because it flows from truth, not fear. Stillness is not passive. It's profoundly active in a different dimension. It sharpens perception. It aligns intention. It recharges the soul. The greatest leaders, creators, and mystics throughout history have all known this, that stillness is not the opposite of progress. It is its source. The still mind sees clearly. The still heart hears deeply. The still spirit moves wisely. You don't need to chase every answer. You don't need to force every outcome. Sit, breathe, be still, and in that sacred pause clarity will come, not because you demanded it, but because you finally became available to it. Let stillness be your guide, not your guilt. For in stillness the seeds of your greatest results begin to take root. And when they bloom not in chaos, but in quiet, unwavering alignment. Your inner world shapes your outer reality, not metaphorically, not as a poetic idea, but as a fundamental truth of how life unfolds. Most people believe that if they can just change what's around them, their job, their income, their relationships, their routines, then they will finally feel peace, clarity, joy. But it never lasts, because the outer world is simply a mirror, and it reflects the state of your inner being. If your mind is clouded, if your heart is closed, if your beliefs are rigid, then even the most beautiful circumstances will feel like a burden. But if your inner world is spacious, alive, and attuned, you can walk through difficulty with grace, and success becomes a natural extension of who you are. We rarely question the filter through which we view life. We wake up already interpreting, already projecting, already assuming, and we call it reality. But what you perceive is always colored by what you carry. If you believe you're unworthy, every compliment feels suspicious. If you carry anger, even kindness looks like manipulation. If your inner dialogue is one of pressure and punishment, no amount of rest will truly feel restful. This is why real transformation begins within. When you change your inner world, the outer world starts responding in a different tone, as if the universe was waiting for you to remember who you are. Your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, they are not passive bystanders, they are architects. They build the atmosphere in which your life takes shape. You can walk into the same room, the same job, the same relationship, and it will feel entirely different depending on the energy you bring to it. And so to invest in your inner world is to reclaim your power. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You begin to see that your state of being is your greatest influence. But this doesn't mean pretending to be positive or forcing yourself to feel good. That's just another mask. It means doing the real work, sitting with your fears, rewriting the stories you've believed for too long, making peace with your past, and cultivating inner awareness so you can respond rather than react. It means treating your inner landscape with the same care a musician gives to their instrument, tuning it daily, listening deeply, and knowing that the quality of the sound depends entirely on space from which it arises. When you align your inner world, when your thoughts are clean, your emotions acknowledged, your presence rooted, you begin to experience a strange and beautiful shift. Life starts to meet you where you are, not where you pretend to be. Opportunities feel more aligned. Relationships become more honest. Work flows with less friction. Because you are no longer forcing life to bend to your confusion, you are living from coherence. So if you want to multiply your results, start where it matters most, not out there, but in here. Tune your inner world and watch how life starts dancing to the rhythm of your own clarity. Let growth be a dance, not a duty. You were not born to grind yourself into greatness. You are not designed to live under constant pressure, measuring your worth by how much you produce or how perfectly you perform. Growth, when it is real and lasting, does not feel like a burden. It feels like a rhythm, sometimes quiet, sometimes wild, but always alive. And when you begin to see self-investment not as self-punishment, but as an act of remembering who you already are, the journey becomes not just lighter, but more true. So much of what we call self-improvement is just cleverly disguised self-rejection. We believe that we are not enough yet, not wise enough, not strong enough, not successful enough. And so we chase after better versions of ourselves like dogs chasing their own tails. But a flower does not bloom because it despises its current state. It blooms because it is rooted, nourished, and aligned with its own nature. You don't need to strive to become someone else. You need to return to yourself, softly, lovingly, and with patience. When growth is a duty, it becomes rigid. You create timelines, expectations, and punish yourself when you fall short. You treat your inner life like a corporate project, checking off emotional to-do lists and forcing results. But when growth is a dance, you begin to move with life, not against it. You recognize that some days will be full of clarity and momentum, while others will invite you to rest, reflect, and recenter. Neither is better than the other. Both are part of the music. The truth is, you grow fastest when you stop trying so hard, because trying in the way most people do it is often laced with fear. It's fueled by the idea that you are not already whole. But you are. Self-investment is not about adding something new. It's about uncovering what has always been there beneath the noise. It's not a race toward a finish line. It's a slow, beautiful unfolding of your own rhythm. So ask yourself, are you growing out of love or out of fear? Are you tending to yourself like someone sacred, or managing yourself like a problem to solve? When growth becomes a dance, there is joy in the process. You become more fluid, more open, more forgiving of the missteps. You don't panic when the tempo changes. You listen, you adjust, and because your energy is not spent on resistance, your results begin to expand effortlessly. Real growth has grace in it. It honors the mystery of timing. It knows when to leap and when to be still. And above all, it trusts the intelligence of life moving through you. So release the need to control and start to flow. Move in tune with your own becoming. Let self-investment be a celebration of your existence, not a desperate attempt to earn it. And you'll find that the results you once chased now arise like music, natural, beautiful, and completely in sync with who you are.
Imagine for a moment the sheer strangeness of being alive, the silent heartbeat that began without your consent, the breath that sustains you without a conscious thought, the inexplicable awareness that perceives the world yet cannot fully grasp itself. Have you ever paused long enough to feel the weight of this miracle? To stand at the edge of your own existence and realize that everything you see, touch, and know is part of a vast interconnected dance. It is in these moments, when the veil of the ordinary lifts, that we experience a chill, a shiver down the spine. These are the moments that give us goosebumps, when we sense something greater, something unspeakably profound. What if I told you that these moments are not accidents, but glimpses into a deeper truth, a truth that lies just beyond the reach of thought, yet closer than your own heartbeat? That's what I want to explore with you today. The mystery that lies at the core of our existence, the awe that stirs when we see beyond the surface of things. Imagine for a moment the sheer strangeness of being alive, the silent heartbeat that began without your consent, the breath that sustains you without a conscious thought, the inexplicable awareness that perceives the world yet cannot fully grasp itself. Have you ever paused long enough to feel the weight of this miracle? to stand at the edge of your own existence and realize that everything you see, touch, and know is part of a vast, interconnected dance. It is in these moments, when the veil of the ordinary lifts, that we experience a chill, a shiver down the spine. These are the moments that give us goosebumps, when we sense something greater, something unspeakably profound. What if I told you that these moments are not accidents, but glimpses into a deeper truth? A truth that lies just beyond the reach of thought, yet closer than your own heartbeat. The human experience is a paradox, a curious blend of knowing and not knowing, of searching and surrendering. We spend so much of our lives trying to grasp meaning, to dissect and analyze, to break down the world into manageable bite-sized pieces. Yet, in doing so, we often overlook the immense wonder of simply being here, alive, in a universe that no mind can fully comprehend. We become trapped in our pursuit of answers, mistaking the map for the territory, the symbol for the reality. But there are those rare moments, often unbidden and unpredictable, when something pierces through the ordinary, a sunset that strikes you as almost unbearably beautiful, a piece of music that resonates so deeply it feels like it has always been playing somewhere within you, the gaze of a loved one that sees you in a way that makes you feel both vulnerable and profoundly understood. In these moments, the analytical mind quiets and something deeper awakens. It's as if, for a brief instant, the boundaries between you and the rest of existence blur. We call these experiences goosebumps, but what they really are is a visceral reaction to the mystery of being. It is a momentary awareness that we are part of something far more intricate, far more beautiful than we could ever hope to define. In those moments, time seems to suspend itself. There is no rush, no future to reach, no past to escape. There is just presence, raw, unfiltered, and undeniable. Have you ever wondered why such simple things can evoke such profound responses? Why the sight of a child laughing can fill you with a sense of inexplicable joy, or why standing before a vast ocean can make you feel both insignificant and intimately connected to all that is? It is because in those moments we glimpse the sacredness of the ordinary. We see the world not through the lens of thought and judgment, but with the eyes of wonder. Yet so much of life is spent resisting this depth, resisting the very experiences that make us feel most alive. We seek to control, to predict, to secure ourselves against uncertainty. We fear the unknown, the unpredictable, the uncontrollable. And yet it is precisely in the surrender to this uncertainty that we touch the most profound truths. We fear the vulnerability that goosebumps expose, the way they remind us that there is so much we cannot understand. But what if that very vulnerability is not a weakness, but a doorway to a deeper, more intimate encounter with life itself? The beauty of existence is not in our ability to explain it, but in our willingness to embrace it, to let it wash over us without the need to dissect or categorize. Goosebumps are the body's way of telling us we are brushing against the edge of something vast, something beyond language, something sacred. They are reminders that we are not mere observers in this universe, but active participants in a symphony far greater than ourselves. In those moments there is a unity, a sense that life itself is not happening to us, but through us and as us. So the next time you feel that shiver, that tingling at the back of your neck, or the hairs standing on your arms, pause. Don't rush to explain it or dismiss it. Feel it. Let it move through you. Recognize that it is a signal, a whisper from the universe, that you are alive, that you are part of something immeasurable and unfathomable. Let it remind you that the miracle of your existence is not a puzzle to be solved, but a mystery to be cherished. The goosebumps you feel are not merely biological responses. They are the body's way of acknowledging the ineffable. They are the soul's applause, the spirit's exhale, a subtle nod from the cosmos saying, yes, you are here. Yes, this is real, and it is far more magnificent than you could ever imagine. The human experience is a paradox, a curious blend of knowing and not knowing, of searching and surrendering. We spend so much of our lives trying to grasp meaning, to dissect and analyze, to break down the world into manageable bite-sized pieces. Yet in doing so, we often overlook the immense wonder of simply being here, alive in a universe that no mind can fully comprehend. We become trapped in our pursuit of answers, mistaking the map for the territory, the symbol for the reality. But there are those rare moments, often unbidden and unpredictable, when something pierces through the ordinary. A sunset that strikes you as almost unbearably beautiful, a piece of music that resonates so deeply it feels like it has always been playing somewhere within you, the gaze of a loved one that sees you in a way that makes you feel both vulnerable and profoundly understood. In these moments, the analytical mind quiets, and something deeper awakens. It's as if, for a brief instant, the boundaries between you and the rest of existence blur. In those fleeting moments, we touch a sense of timelessness. There is a stillness that descends, a quiet beyond the usual noise of thought. For just a breath, all of our striving, our planning, our anxieties dissolve. There is no future to reach, no past to regret. There is only the raw, unfiltered now, pulsing with an intensity that words cannot capture. Have you ever considered why such simple experiences have such a profound impact on us? Why a melody can stir a forgotten memory that wells up like a silent, unbidden tear? Why the scent of rain on warm earth can take you to a place beyond words? It is because in those moments we are not trying to control life. We are not resisting the present or reaching for an idea of how things should be. We are simply here, unguarded and vulnerable, open to the vastness of experience. This vulnerability is where the goosebumps come from. It is a surrender to something greater than the self, a recognition that we are part of an intricate, interconnected whole. The chill that runs down your spine when you witness something inexplicably beautiful is a signal that, for a moment, you have stepped out of the narrow confines of your own story. You have glimpsed the infinite, the boundless, the sacred. Yet so often we shy away from this depth. We busy ourselves, distract ourselves, because the enormity of existence can feel overwhelming. We become consumed by schedules, goals, and tasks, forgetting that this moment, this breath, is all we truly have. We live in a world obsessed with control. We plan, we prepare. We construct elaborate structures of understanding to protect ourselves from the unknown. We seek to master life, to bend it to our will, and yet life continually slips through our fingers, defying our attempts to grasp it fully. The moments that give us goosebumps are reminders that control is an illusion, that certainty is a comforting story we tell ourselves. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be embraced. The moments that chill us to the bone, that make the hair stand on the back of our necks, are the very moments that invite us to let go, to surrender our need to understand and simply experience. Goosebumps are the body's response to the profound, the ineffable. They arise when the mind, for a moment, loses its grip and the heart takes over. When you hear a truth that resonates so deeply it feels as though it has always been known to you, yet never articulated, that is when the shiver comes. When you stand before a natural wonder, dwarfed by its immensity, and for a moment your smallness is not a burden but a liberation, that is when the chill awakens. These moments are not accidents. They are invitations. They are opportunities to witness the sacred woven into the mundane, to see the extraordinary within the ordinary. And yet we often rush through them. We shake off the shiver, return to our routines, and tell ourselves it was nothing. But what if it wasn't nothing? What if it was everything? What if those chills are the closest we come to touching the divine, to feeling the pulse of a cosmos far beyond our comprehension? What if they are reminders that life is not meant to be a relentless climb toward achievement, but a dance, a play, a moment-to-moment unfolding of wonder? So the next time you feel that chill, that electric tremor along your spine, linger there. Let it move through you. Let it remind you that you are alive, here, now, a part of a mystery so vast that it cannot be named, only felt. Allow it to humble you, to soften you, to awaken you to the beauty that surrounds you, always present, yet so often overlooked. In those moments you are not alone. You are part of a symphony of existence, a thread in the intricate tapestry of life. The goosebumps are not mere reactions, they are revelations, glimpses into the profound interconnectedness of all things. They are the soul's way of saying, look, listen, be, this is it, this is everything. We call these experiences goosebumps, but what they really are is a visceral reaction to the mystery of being. It is a momentary awareness that we are part of something far more intricate, far more beautiful than we could ever hope to define. In those moments, time seems to suspend itself. There is no rush, no future to reach, no past to escape. There is just presence, raw, unfiltered, and undeniable. Have you ever wondered why such simple things can evoke such profound responses? Why the sight of a child laughing can fill you with a sense of inexplicable joy? Or why standing before a vast ocean can make you feel both insignificant and intimately connected to all that is? It is because in those moments we glimpse the sacredness of the ordinary. We see the world not through the lens of thought and judgment, but with the eyes of wonder. Goosebumps arise when we step out of our habitual thinking and touch the edge of something vast and unnameable. The ordinary veil of thought lifts, and we are left exposed, vulnerable to the rawness of existence. It is a strange and beautiful paradox, the way we are simultaneously terrified and enthralled by the unknown. When we brush against the mysteries that underlie our everyday lives, a part of us recoils, while another part yearns to dive deeper. That shiver down your spine when a song moves you, the way your heart catches when a film scene mirrors your own buried emotions, the breathlessness that comes from standing at the edge of a cliff and peering into the seemingly endless expanse. These are not simply reactions. They are revelations. These chills remind us that life is not simply a series of events strung together by logic and reason. There is a pulse to it, a rhythm that beats beneath the surface of what we think we know. Goosebumps are the body's way of acknowledging that there is more to existence than the confines of our minds. They are a whisper from the depths, an invitation to see beyond the immediate, beyond the ordinary explanations we cling to for comfort. The most profound experiences often defy articulation. They resist being captured by language because they are felt, not analyzed. The shiver that runs through you when you recognize yourself in a work of art, when a poem articulates a truth you didn't know you held, or when a moment of déjà vu convinces you that time is not as linear as it seems. These are experiences that pierce through the fabric of our constructed realities. The goosebumps come when we stand on the edge of understanding and yet remain unable to cross fully into knowing. It is the threshold between what we think we know and the vast, uncharted territories of what lies beyond. This is the space where mystery dwells, and it is a space we rarely allow ourselves to enter. We are so conditioned to seek answers, to have explanations, to ground ourselves in logic. But life is not a problem to be solved, it is a mystery to be lived. When we surrender our need to understand, we create space for wonder, for awe, for the sheer magnificence of not knowing. Yet we often try to brush off these moments. We reduce them to mere sensations or just a reaction. We dismiss them, preferring the comfort of certainty over the tremble of the unknown. But what if these moments of chills and shivers are more truthful than all our theories and conclusions? What if the sensation of goosebumps is not something to be explained away, but something to be leaned into, a recognition that we are part of an immense, unfathomable whole? When we see life through this lens, the mundane transforms. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. A mundane commute suddenly becomes a meditation on the collective journey of thousands of souls, each living a story as complex and profound as your own. The routine sound of rain becomes a symphony of nature's relentless renewal. The quiet sigh of wind through the trees becomes a whisper from a world that is always speaking, if only we have the ears to listen. These are not just poetic musings, they are glimpses into a deeper truth. that every moment is charged with significance, that every encounter is a meeting with the divine. So the next time you feel that chill, that tingle that moves through your body like a wave, do not brush it aside. Do not diminish it or rush to rationalize it. Allow yourself to feel it fully. Recognize it for what it is. A moment of awakening, a fleeting reminder that you are alive, that you are part of something so vast, so intricate, that it defies comprehension. These moments are not accidents, they are gifts. They are opportunities to wake up, to see clearly, to let the barriers between self and world dissolve, even if just for a heartbeat. They are glimpses into a reality that lies beyond the boundaries of language and thought, a reality that can only be felt, not grasped. Goosebumps are the silent applause of the soul, the body's recognition that it is part of a dance far more beautiful and mysterious than the mind could ever conceive. When you allow yourself to be present with them, to honor the depth from which they arise, you step into the mystery of existence itself. You begin to see that life is not merely a series of moments to endure or manage, but a vast, unfolding wonder to witness. The shivers, the chills, the tremors, they are life's way of reminding you that there is always more, always deeper, always a greater mystery waiting to be touched. Let them move through you. Let them remind you of the beauty, the fragility, and the sacredness of simply being here, alive in this moment. Yet so much of life is spent resisting this depth, resisting the very experiences that make us feel most alive. We seek to control, to predict, to secure ourselves against uncertainty. We fear the unknown, the unpredictable, the uncontrollable, and yet it is precisely in the surrender to this uncertainty that we touch the most profound truths. We fear the vulnerability that goosebumps expose, the way they remind us that there is so much we cannot understand. But what if that very vulnerability is not a weakness but a doorway to a deeper, more intimate encounter with life itself? Our culture conditions us to believe that control is power, that knowing is security. We are taught to organize, plan, and shield ourselves from the chaos of the unknown. We cling to logic and reason, convinced that if we can just understand everything, we will be safe. Yet despite our best efforts, life remains untamable, unpredictable, and filled with mystery. Every attempt to wrap reality into neat, comprehensible packages eventually unravels, and there we stand, once more on the edge of the unknown. It is in these moments, when the walls of certainty crumble, that goosebumps arise. It is as if a deeper part of us recognizes that what we thought was solid ground was always just a thin layer over an ocean of mystery. Imagine standing beneath a sky scattered with stars, the cold, clear night stretching endlessly above. You may know intellectually that these are burning spheres of gas millions of miles away. You may understand the science behind their light, the mechanics of their existence, but there is a moment, a subtle shift, when that understanding fades and a quiet wonder takes over. The vastness of it all, the incomprehensible distances, the sheer enormity of space, it strikes you not in your mind but in your bones. Your breath catches, and there they are, goosebumps. A part of you has recognized that this life is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to behold. This is the power of surrender. To relinquish the need to control, to know, to categorize, and to simply be present. When we surrender, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to feel the fragility and wonder of our existence. In a world that demands certainty and confidence, vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness. But vulnerability is the birthplace of awe, the space where wonder blossoms. The moments that give us goosebumps are the moments when we let go, when we open ourselves to the immensity of life, unshielded and undefended. These are the moments when we become receptive to the sacredness of the ordinary. Goosebumps are not just reactions to the external world, they are reflections of our internal landscapes. They arise when something within us resonates with a deeper truth, a truth we may not fully understand but can feel in the core of our being, They occur when a piece of music strikes a chord so honest that it echoes the unspeakable within us, or when a work of art captures an experience we could never articulate, yet have always known. These chills are not accidents. They are encounters with the essence of existence itself. They remind us that we are not separate observers of life, analyzing it from a distance, but participants in a vast interconnected web of being. And yet most of us live as if these moments are anomalies, brief interruptions in the flow of ordinary life. We experience them, and then we quickly return to our routines, to our plans, to our carefully constructed ideas about who we are and what the world is. But what if these moments are not interruptions, but glimpses into a deeper reality that is always present, just beneath the surface? What if goosebumps are the body's way of reminding us that we are more than the narratives we tell ourselves, more than the roles we play, more than the identities we cling to so desperately? When we allow ourselves to be present with these moments, to truly feel them, something shifts. The boundaries between self and other, between the known and the unknown, begin to blur. We realize that life is not something happening to us. It is something happening through us and as us. The shiver that runs through you when you watch a child take their first steps. The tremor of recognition when you lock eyes with a stranger and see a shared humanity. These are moments when the veil of separateness dissolves. They are moments when we touch the truth of interconnectedness, the realization that the line between self and other is not as solid as it seems. To live with an openness to these moments is to live in a state of receptivity, of reverence. It is to walk through life with the awareness that every breath, every heartbeat, every interaction holds the potential for awakening. It is to see the sacred in the mundane, the divine in the ordinary. It is to understand that the moments that give us goosebumps are not confined to rare dramatic experiences, but are woven into the fabric of daily life, waiting to be noticed. So the next time you feel that shiver, that ripple of awe, let it be a call to pause, to let go of the need to understand, to control, to explain. Allow yourself to feel the fullness of that moment, to stand in the rawness of your own vulnerability. Recognize that it is a reminder, a whisper from the universe, that you are part of a vast, unknowable, miraculous dance. These goosebumps are not just fleeting sensations, they are awakenings. They are invitations to live not just with your mind, but with your whole being, open, receptive, alive. And so we return to these moments that give us goosebumps, these flickers of something beyond, something that transcends the ordinary flow of our days. We often dismiss them, explaining them away as mere physiological reactions, the firing of neurons, or a response to a sudden change in temperature. But if we pause long enough to feel them fully, to honor them rather than brush them off, we might discover that they are echoes of something deeper. They are signs that even in our seemingly mundane existence, there is a hidden thread of wonder running through it all. Consider for a moment how much of life we experience in autopilot. We wake up, go through our routines, check our schedules, fulfill our duties, and distract ourselves with entertainment. Our days become a series of tasks to complete, obligations to fulfill, and responsibilities to uphold. We think ahead to what must be done and reflect on what has already passed. In all of this, we rarely stop to simply be, to feel the miracle of breath filling our lungs, the sensation of our heartbeat pulsing beneath the surface of our skin. Yet in those rare moments that give us goosebumps, we are called back to presence, to the raw and immediate truth of being alive. Have you ever found yourself moved to tears by a simple sunset? Not because of anything particularly unique about the sun dipping below the horizon, but because for a moment you allowed yourself to witness it fully. The colors bleeding across the sky seem to touch a part of you that is often buried beneath thought, beneath distraction. There is a reason such beauty moves us. It calls us back to a part of ourselves that remembers the wonder of simply being. It is not about the sunset itself, but the presence it awakens in us. a presence that exists beyond analysis or explanation. Think of the moments when a song has brought you to stillness, when a melody carried you beyond your thoughts and into a space where all that existed was the resonance of sound, or when a stranger's kindness left you unexpectedly speechless, your heart swelling with a gratitude you couldn't quite articulate. These moments are reminders that we are more than thinking machines, more than minds dissecting the world in search of control. We are beings capable of wonder, of reverence, of awe, and it is this capacity that gives rise to the shivers that ripple across our skin. But why do we resist these moments? Why do we try to suppress or ignore the very experiences that remind us of our interconnectedness, of the depth that underlies all things? Perhaps it is because they challenge the illusion of separateness we so carefully maintain. They remind us that there is a part of us that cannot be contained by concepts, that cannot be fully defined by our identities or our roles. They whisper to us that there is a mystery to life that defies explanation, a sacredness that cannot be possessed or controlled. It can feel unsettling to confront the vastness of this mystery. We spend so much time crafting narratives about who we are, constructing identities that give us a sense of stability. Yet in these moments that give us goosebumps, the boundaries of who we think we are blur. We feel exposed, unguarded, vulnerable to the immensity of life itself. And yet there is a strange and beautiful freedom in this vulnerability, a liberation that comes from surrendering our need to know, to explain, to categorize. The goosebumps, the shivers, the chills, they are not just physiological reactions. They are the body's way of saying pay attention. They are the soul's way of reminding us that we are part of something much greater than ourselves. They call us to see the world not through the lens of utility, but through the eyes of wonder. They invite us to live not merely as individuals navigating a world of objects, but as interconnected beings participating in a vast unfolding mystery. What would it be like to live with this awareness more often? To walk through each day not as a series of tasks to complete, but as an opportunity to witness the sacredness of life. What if we allowed ourselves to be fully present, to see the divine in the ordinary, to let the beauty of existence touch us so deeply that we cannot help but shiver? What if we allowed ourselves to be moved, to be humbled, to be in awe, not just when we stand before grand vistas or hear stirring symphonies, but in the quiet, unremarkable moments that make up most of our days? This is not a call to abandon reason or to reject the practicalities of life. It is an invitation to balance our understanding with wonder, to complement our knowledge with reverence. It is an encouragement to live fully, not just in thought but in feeling, not just in analysis but in presence. When we let ourselves experience the fullness of life without trying to grasp or control it, we open ourselves to the possibility of being truly alive. So the next time you feel that shiver, that electric thrill that moves through your body, do not brush it aside. Do not diminish it. Allow it to expand within you, to remind you that you are part of a great intricate dance. Let it reconnect you to the mystery of your own being, to the unfathomable depth that lies within you and around you. The goosebumps are not just a reaction. They are a reflection of the infinite wonder that is always here, waiting to be seen, felt, and embraced.